All right, today's video, more random stuff. If you guys watched the hurricane video, we had this tree down. So my chainsaw finally arrived. I ordered one online, so we're starting to chop this down. Let me show you guys. So there's a poor SST sinking into the ground. We will be doing something with that. I know a lot of people have been asking about that. But right now, just doing a bit of cleanup because we've got all kinds of stuff. So this tree got uprooted from the storm, and I'm just taking it down with my new chainsaw. I'm probably at some point gonna take this down. I think a couple big branches snapped off that, and based on how things kind of go around here, I would prefer not to have massive trees on my property. It makes a huge mess. All the leaves get shaken down on the ground, then you have a ton of cleanup when big winds come through. You run the risk of things falling over into other things. So I think I'm probably gonna get rid of like the big trees and then just run some palm trees and stuff like that, because they're lower maintenance and they come down, they don't really weigh anything. So this is where we're at. This one got uprooted. I started chopping it, and then we're gonna start getting the eco diesel here and hauling this out to the street in a minute here, because the city does come and haul this stuff away, thankfully. I guess maybe it's a common thing if they have that in place, right? So got this little Craftsman. She's been working awesome. I'm gonna keep ripping it and taking this stuff down. Brando's modeling next to our new fresh wood pile. So we're gonna leave like and he's getting a tin. We're gonna leave this stump. I was talking to Brandon. I might try to like dig this out and then see if I can cut the roots and see if I can get the stump out without having to, you know, bring in a stump grinder. But I might at least leave this so I'll have something to hook onto if I decide to get creative. But for now, we'll clear out the most of this stuff. I think Brandon said we're gonna try and drag it, and then we'll chop it up next to the street into a better pile. So that's what we're gonna do. I'll update you guys. This is gonna be fun. Okay guys, I was just telling Brandon, I still think this is probably the best truck I've owned. Got over 40,000 miles on it, no issues, and she still continues to put in work. So we got almost most of the tree cleared with Brando's help. We're gonna just hook up a last little ski here. That's what we're calling it. And then we'll just load up the logs in the back of the truck. But that should only be like a trip or two. And we're good, so we're almost done. I bet Brandon a drink at Wawa's that log right there wasn't gonna stay, because it's not even hanging on by anything, but he won his drink at Wawa's. Okay, so we managed to fit all the big chunks in here. One load, look at that. She's not even squatted, boys, with those airlift bags in there. So we got a full bed load of wood. We're gonna haul this up, and I'll show you guys the pile in a second here up front. It's crazy, it's big. Okay, I don't know if this camera is doing it justice, boys, but this is a big old pile. So that's pretty much one tree and one branch from that uprooted tree, but she's all out here. A lot of the neighbors like have massive piles as well, so I don't feel so bad with this guy. Okay, here's the next item on the list here. Got Brando over here with his 8-mile long tips from Ontario. Drove her all the way from Ontario, Canada. Look at this. Bazoku tips over here.
Come on now.
You just need the Bazoku body kit now.
Yep. What about tandem body kit?
He's wire brushing where it's all cracked because these 8-mile tips are snapping off the muffler because it can't hang. And then he wants me to blast a bead.
On a bead?
Blast a bead on there. Okay, so he's about to take off. We ended up fixing that huge old dent in this pipe, and then might not look the prettiest, but there was like a bunch of little holes, and every time I kept trying to weld it, like I got a nice bead on the bottom, but the top kept blowing holes. So fix that up, he's gonna be off. Okay, a little bit more randomness. I'm gonna wash the eco diesel. I haven't washed this thing in like a month, you guys, so I'm gonna clean her off and we'll get on to something else. All right, so it's the next day again. Eco diesel's clean, but I'm sure that's not that exciting for you guys. What I'm going to work on now is I have here on the bench this Driven racing oil. I don't even know if this company's still in existence. I could Google it. I bought this like probably 3-4 years ago for the Viper. It's synthetic power steering fluid, and really did well in the power steering of the Viper. And the power steering system on the Viper is almost dang near identical to the one on the Dakota. It almost uses the same rack. It uses a slightly different version of the same rack. So, and what the Dakota calls for is it originally calls for ATF4. If you guys watched when I was at Mo Party, when I was out there in Kentucky, we ended up having the power steering line burst kind of in the middle of nowhere. I was at the store and it just burst. So if you guys didn't see that, I'll link it above here actually for you guys. But I just refilled it with ATF4, which is, you know, the Mopar transmission fluid. And what I ended up wanting to do is replace it with this. After I did the burnout, the power steering, the fluid got cooked in it because I was like pretty much on the red line for like 60 seconds and, you know, hitting it lock to lock. And I'm pretty sure I boiled the fluid because, you know, right now, once in a while, you'll kind of get like a little bit of tough steering and you kind of hear the pump complaining a bit. And it's got a new pump on it, so it shouldn't be that. What I'm gonna do is, this is gonna be messy, it's gonna suck, but it's just something I wanna get out of the way. I'm gonna bring the Dakota, you guys probably obviously can't see it, it's in the front garage right now. Let's go get it, bring it back here, and I'm going to change out the fluid. So it's gonna probably take a few cycles. I've got 2.5 quarts here, so I'm hoping that should be enough, but I'm gonna get the ATF4 out of it. I'm just gonna pull one of the lines off, you know, turn it lock to lock, empty it, fill it up, turn it lock to lock as much as I can, probably fire it up for a second, spin it around, and then dump it a second time, and then I'm hoping on the third it should be pretty much gone. So that's the plan. Let's go ahead, get the Dakota, and bring it over here. All right, here's a very clean Eco Diesel. Oh, look at all the bugs. I took it to the gym last night, and she's already all covered in bugs on the front. Man, that doesn't take long down here in Flow Rider, but all right, let me move this, and let's get the Dakota. Okay, so here's the Dakota, and let's go ahead and hop in this sucker, and we'll go try to change this fluid, and hopefully it's not a nightmare, and hopefully not a big mess. All right, let's hop in this thing. Let's go. So go ahead, we'll pull her forward and let the games begin. This is not gonna be fun. Not really looking forward to doing this, but it is what it is. All right, so I got it up and I swear I can't make this stuff up. No sooner did I bring it over here. There's a drip here and that O-ring, because I had to find an O-ring in a pinch here, and look you guys, it is starting to drip again. I had to double stack O-rings just to get this thing to stop puking, and obviously that has lasted up until now, but still now it's posing a problem. So it's a little bit wet, nothing crazy, but obviously want to address it before it bursts and leaves us stranded somewhere. So I guess I'm taking the line off anyways. I might as well try to find an O-ring that's more sufficient. So here we go. All right, so what I'm actually gonna do is, just in case, I'm gonna move it over to where the boat is. That way, if for some reason I can't find a sufficient O-ring again, then I can still get my boat out for the weekend, because it's been so crazy, you guys. I'm not trying to ask for sympathy, but I really need to just kind of, I've been taking the boat out as much as possible lately, trying to get some use out of it, trying to relax a little bit as, you know, as we continue to work on this stuff, and just to kind of have a little bit of a downtime, and then we'll be back full force into everything. But as you can see, we're still working on stuff, but I just mean like getting heavy into the wrenching and all that stuff. So what I actually do is pull this back out, take the boat out, put this over here. That way the boat can chill here for a minute, and then it's ready to go for the weekend, because it is a Friday that I'm recording this on. Okay, so without doing too much of a little shimmy action, I probably could get it over further, but even just me doing that, you guys, like look, red drop, red drop, red drop, red drop, red drop, like it is just red drop. It's starting to spew again, so this is kind of perfect timing. I really didn't plan on it to be this way, but red drop. It's letting go at the opportune time, I guess we can say. So let me jack up the front of this. Like I said, that way at least if it's if I can't find the parts, it's stuck over here and I can still get my Sea-Doo out, get the Hell Ram out, all that good stuff. Okay, so we got our pan here ready, and it is leaking from the same spot, you guys. That upper hose to the right, that connection that goes into the rack's what's leaking once again. So we're gonna let all this drain out, and then I will disconnect that and see what we can do about those O-rings. Okay, so here is what we've got, you guys. So obviously that's not good, and that was what was making our seal. It just got all completely obliterated. These were really cheap O-rings, and this was all we could find at the time, and I was a little bit concerned about the quality and the heat that it was going to have to withstand, and obviously they've just mushed and melted and whatever we're calling that. So one of the issues I was having when we were on the side of the road was this was the O-ring that I was putting on, which looks sufficient, but it never wanted to seal. So I ended up double stacking them, which obviously turned into that, and it seemed to seal, but putting just one on here never seemed to want to seal for some reason. So, and the original one was just slightly thicker than this. So I'm gonna see what I can come up with. Maybe I'll even just try a different fitting. This one was an off-brand one that I got in a pinch, so I might see and try and find a Earl's one of this type. But in the meantime, let me see if I can get a O-ring that will work. Okay, so I'm gonna try one of these here. This is a nitrile, I don't know how you say it, O-ring, and it should be sufficient, but I did order another fitting, so I'm gonna end up putting an Earl's one on here, but for now, let's throw this one on here. We'll get some of this new fluid in here, get it worked back and forth, and see if she holds. All right, so I got our fitting back on there. It's tight. I'm gonna go ahead and start filling it with our synthetic power steering fluid. It's clear, so I'm gonna fill it up. I'm not gonna start it, but I'm gonna run it lock to lock. I already did with the hoses disconnected. I went lock to lock a bunch of times, and it puked out a bunch more fluid. And now we're gonna put this in. I'm gonna go lock to lock a bunch of times, and we'll see how red it looks in the reservoir, I guess, and then decide whether we're gonna fire it up quickly or just dump it just with going lock to lock for a second. I do kind of want to see if that O-ring is sufficient or not. It's kind of, I want to see if it's going to puke, and the only way to do that would be to power the system, but let's see how far we get with this first. So you can tell that the rack is empty because it's like you'll feel a hydraulic fluid moving through, and then all of a sudden the wheel will move really easy, like there, and then you'll get towards the other end of the lock, and then it'll slow down. And you can hear, you probably won't be able to pick it up on the camera, but you can hear all the air passing through the piston on the rack. So it's starting to get a lot better now, but so I'm just doing this, and then the reservoir ends up draining, and then I fill it back up, top it back up, and repeat the process of going back and forth. Okay, so I went to lock a bunch of times. Our fluid's topped up. I'm gonna fire it up. We'll at least let the system cycle. I also want to see if that thing is going to leak at all, and then we'll just dump it all again. Like I said, just want to get things circulating. We'll dump it all, and then hopefully we'll be mostly changed over to the new stuff, and hopefully it's not leaking as well. Well, I'll set you guys up right here, so you guys will be the first to see if it decides to puke. So far, so good. I don't see any leaks, which is nice. Okay, so no leaks, but it's definitely, fluid did turn a very red shade, so kind of expected. Let's go ahead, pop the line off again, dump it, and repeat the process. It's not terrible, it's pretty clear, but definitely has a shade of pink if you can or can't see. I think we might be okay after this, so I can do this. We'll go lock to lock, empty out the rack a bunch, and then I think we should be okay, hopefully. We'll see how it looks, what kind of shade we get after this. All right, so I went lock to lock, emptied everything, put the line back on, top it back up with more fluid, repeat the process. All right, so here we go. Round 2, turn this a million times back and forth, got all the air out. We'll fire it up, turn it lock to lock, see what we got. Okay, so it seems to be holding. Everything's good with that new O-ring in there. So I am gonna get that other fitting though. So I'm gonna wait for the fitting for Earl's and then I'll dump it a third time. So that'll be next week. That'll come and that'll give me a chance to flush out the fluid one last time as well, and get that other O-ring in there, and hopefully that way I don't have to keep dealing with this nonsense. Okay, so the Dakota is fixed. So that is all taken care of. And just as far as, you know, pending little things, there's a lot. It's an endless list always. If you guys recall, we did have the oil catch can on there, and then it was making that screaming chicken sound. So I do have to reassess that at some point, because I have those ports that I have to figure out what to do with on the valve covers. Probably what is going to have to happen at some point, because there does seem to be a variance on the ports, is I either have to route, I guess I could just do it that way, you guys. I'd have to route the PCV from that cover over to here, and vice versa. That vent would have to go over to there, and then I think it would be solved. So maybe I'll just do that at some point. That doesn't seem like the end of the world actually when just talking about that. So I'll just have to loop it over across the back. You just won't see it. So that's another little thing we'll have to address at some point. Lots of little things on this. I do want to try and get some sort of drag pack wheels so that once boost season comes here in the fall, because it's starting to cool off here down in Florida, then we'll be able to hit the track. So that's all to come, and a bunch of other stuff. Other kind of things I've been up to, if you guys have been wondering, I've been cleaning up a lot of this stuff. This has just been absolutely hectic. So just with all the builds and all that stuff, I've just wanted to clean this because this corner was making me crazy, and I still haven't even swept or anything, but at least I got most of these cubbies and stuff and the shelves a lot more organized than before. Other pending stuff, the supercharger. I do want to take this apart at some point. I'm hoping that's just the snout bearings, and hopefully it's just that, and we can get this supercharger good and ready to go for whatever we decide to do with it. And a few other things as well. The SST is outside as well, and I do have the engine stand over here. So I have the spare engine stand, which I would like to get the SST engine on, so that's going to be coming up here shortly as well. Probably within the next week or so, I'm going to put the SST engine on this, and then we can tear it down and see exactly how bad it is or isn't. So that's in pending status as well. Got all sorts of stuff, you guys. I still have a garage door opener. I haven't even put the garage door opener up yet, so it's another thing that has to happen. And I will mention, I do have bored throttle bodies in stock, so if you guys want a true bore throttle body and your vehicle is 2013 and up, hit me up. Other thing I have too is I have one complete bezel. It's a little bit dusty, but it does clean up very well, and this is for the third jump seat. So, or I can just sell you just this bezel piece, or if, I mean, there's all sorts of options for you guys. I have so many spare parts at this point. I also have the original one from the Ram here, again dusty, but it's got this like kind of gunmetal finish. If you guys are interested in that, that came out of this truck, I have this for sale. I gotta start selling some of the stuff. I also have two good 8.4s sitting here. They're tested, they're dusty, but I have the radio codes for both of them. So, and like I said, it's you can pretty much see here the odds. It's like a 50% chance of getting a good one or a bad one. So these two are bad that I tested. These two are good. These ones, I bought them. They were supposed to be fine. You try to power them up, they don't come up, all that stuff. So I'm saving you guys the hassle. If you guys are interested, I've got two 8.4s. They're both good, tested with the codes, and I also have the bezel or this bezel. If you guys are interested in any of this stuff, hit me up, because I'm gonna try to clear out some of the stuff. I've got so many things, and I've got all kinds of parts in there that at some point I need to get rid of. I also have the stock cluster. I doubt anybody's interested in that, but if you are, It's in mint shape. It's the original just base cluster out of this. So have that. Honestly, if you have a scratched lens, this would probably be a perfect donor for it, because you can swap over just the lens from this and put it onto yours, so it doesn't have any scratches in it that I can see. So if your lens is maybe all scratched up, this would be perfect if you were interested in something like that. So lots of stuff, you guys, and we'll continue to do that. Also, you can see the drive shaft is here, which I have to get that onto this truck before we go to the drag strip. So a lot of stuff on the way, a lot of stuff to still do. Thanks for watching. You guys can see I'm plugging away on a lot of stuff that we have to get done, but we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.